Divine manifestation revealed. 3 miraculous steps to unlock your sacred potential today. In the heart of St. Mary's Brook, a gentle breeze rustled through the ancient trees, whispering secrets of the divine. The sun dipped low, casting a golden glow on the majestic spire of St. Michael's Church. Its presence a steadfast reminder of faith in a world often overshadowed by doubt. It was here in this quaint village that Jonathan, a humble carpenter, lived a life rooted in devotion. But everything changed the moment his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, fell gravely ill. As darkness closed in on their lives, Jonathan's faith began to tremble, even as he clung to the promise of divine miracles. One fateful evening, after the doctor bore grim news upon his shoulders, Jonathan found himself alone in the dim light of the church. The air felt thick, almost electric, as if heaven itself was hovering near. Amidst the shadows and flickering candles, he sank to his knees, heart pounding, wrestling his fears. Just then, a warmth enveloped him, breaking through despair a light like none he had seen, illuminating the dark corners of his soul. It felt as if angels swirled around him, urging him to believe again. As he stumbled out into the night, a figure approached Agnes, the town's quirky elder. "You see," she began, her eyes twinkling, "miracles often come disguised. Look for them. They are all around us." Jonathan listened, captivated by her tales of angelic appearances. Each story ignited a flicker of hope within him. Yet amid these enchanting revelations, doubt began to creep back, and his precious time slipped through his fingers, inching closer to despair. Days turned into weeks, and every knock at the door or shared meal from neighbors came wrapped with love. Their prayers felt like gentle nudges, encouraging persistent hope. But still, the weight of scientific reality pressed heavily upon Jonathan's heart. Then came the day Harold, a man transformed by faith, found them. "You have to let faith guide you, Jonathan," he exclaimed fervently. His words struck deep, igniting a fire Jonathan hadn't felt in ages. Would this be his first miraculous step, learning to trust in a divine plan beyond what he could see? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With the village gathered for a powerful prayer meeting, Jonathan's heart raced. They sang hymns, their voices a soothing symphony, a sacred atmosphere pulsating around them. Light seemed to shine brighter, illuminating faces filled with yearning. A palpable energy surged through Jonathan. What if the hope he sought truly existed? Loss and yearning battled within him. As he clutched his mother's rosary tightly, he urged those around him to trust the process. But still, doubts clawed at him like fierce winds. And then, in a moment of complete vulnerability, as Jonathan opened his heart in prayer, the weight of his doubts came crashing down. An overwhelming peace cascaded through him, surrendering everything into God's capable hands. Yet, even as those joyful sounds reverberated around him, Emma remained untouched, her fragile smile taunting faith and fear alike. As the church bells echoed in the cool night air, Jonathan stood on the brink, a father longing for a miracle but questioning whether faith alone would carry them through. Would they find the divine manifestation they desperately needed? As questions loomed in the stillness, the flicker of a new reality began to spark, inviting them all toward what lay ahead. The air outside the church was cool, crisp, and filled with the scent of fresh earth. Jonathan stepped into the quiet of the night, soul still resonating with the prayers shared just moments before. The village, basking under the watchful light of stars, reflected the bright flickers of hope nestled in each heart. Something was poised to shift within him, a new rhythm starting to take root. With each step he took toward home, he felt an unyielding force beckoning him, a reminder that he was not alone in this struggle. Arriving at the small wooden house he shared with Emma, Jonathan paused at the threshold. A familiar ache gripped him as he thought of his daughter's fragile condition. Would they truly find the help they sought? Inside, Emma lay quietly, her chest rising and falling in a gentle rhythm. A sea of uncertainty surged in Jonathan, and he sat beside her, taking her tiny hand in his. Just as he did that, the shadows danced eerily around them as if the night itself was watching. "God, please," he whispered, each word laced with desperation. His heart beat heavily against his ribs, a mixture of fear and unwavering love for his child. "Let her feel your touch. Show me your way. I am ready to see the miracles you promised." At that moment, an unexpected warmth enveloped them. It was gentle, like an unseen blanket draping over their fraught spirits. Jonathan opened his eyes in wonder and saw a soft glow radiating from the corner of the room. The light was ethereal, almost golden, shimmering with a promise. His breath caught. Could this be the divine intervention he had longed for? Emma stirred, her gaze fixing on the source of the light. For a split second, it appeared as if the fragile twinkle in her eyes had ignited a spark of life. "Daddy?" she croaked, her voice barely a whisper. Jonathan's heart soared. "Yes, my love," he replied, his voice trembling with hope. "I'm right here." As if guided by invisible hands, Emma smiled, and the glow intensified, illuminating the room in a heavenly hue. Jonathan felt the walls of doubt and despair begin to crumble around him, replaced by an extraordinary sense of peace. The other villagers weren't just bystanders. They were a tapestry of faith woven together, sending love and prayers like arrows, piercing the darkness and lighting up the shadows. In that eternal moment, time itself seemed to suspend. He remembered Agnes's words about searching for miracles, how they might come in ways we never expect. Perhaps the miracle was already beginning to unfold. Tears streamed down Jonathan's face, mingling with laughter as faith blossomed within him. He squeezed Emma's hand tightly, feeling the warmth radiate between them, sending ripples of strength throughout his being. "Look, sweetheart," he exclaimed, pointing to the glow. "Can you see that?" "Yes, Daddy. It's so pretty." She beamed, her smile illuminating his heart. Jonathan realized then that believing was not merely about receiving. It was about perceiving. Miracles were happening all around, even in moments that felt mundane or hidden. They were waiting to be uncovered by those who dared to look closely, to seek openly, to trust fully. But just as the feeling of joy began to settle, a flicker of doubt crept back in what if this was only a fleeting moment? What was to come next? Jonathan's admiration for the divine presence pulsed through him, but the fear of loss loomed like a dark cloud. Would the miracles they sought come in time? As the enchanting glow dimmed and the cool night embraced them once again, Jonathan held tight to the fragile flame of faith within. He had come too far to let go now. What awaited them on this path of faith, guided by love and the promise of hope? The answer teetered just out of reach, a mystery beckoning them to move forward. The room felt both heavy and light, a strange duality where despair clashed with hope. Jonathan tried to maintain focus on the glow, the light that seemed to pulse with a heartbeat of its own. He looked at Emma's face, still brightened by the soft shimmer, and he could almost see the veil of illness lifting from her spirit like morning mist. Suddenly, a knock at the door snapped him from his reverie. His heart raced. It was late, and visitors at this hour were rare. The night shifted, and the gentle warmth began to wane slightly, like a candle flickering in the wind. "Who could that be?" he murmured, looking down at Emma, who was now fixed on his face, her innocent features full of wonder and curiosity. "Daddy, can we see?" she asked, her tiny voice carrying both innocence and bravery. There was a pull in her eyes that urged him onward, a soft nudge from her childlike spirit to embrace whatever awaited them. Taking a deep breath, Jonathan rose and opened the door. Standing there was Alfred, an older villager with a kind heart and a reputation for wisdom. His face was etched with lines of countless stories, the kind that came from a life lived in service and sacrifice. Jonathan, Alfred's voice resonated through the stillness. I felt a tug in my heart to come check on you and Emma. The village is praying for her. He looked deeply into Jonathan's eyes, searching for signs of his brother's state of mind. I've seen miracles, you know. Jonathan stepped aside, inviting Alfred in. As the door closed behind them, the air thickened with a palpable energy. Alfred walked over to Emma, kneeling beside her, his presence radiating empathy and warmth. "Hello, little one," he said softly. "I've come to remind you that you're loved. Always." Emma smiled, her eyes still sparkling with the remnants of the glow. "I saw the light, Mr. Alfred. It was beautiful." Alfred's expression shifted. "Did it comfort you? Did it say anything?" Jonathan watched them, his heart stirred. Emma was indeed light-hearted despite her troubles. Joy sprouted in her, urging him to tap into that faith and redefine his own understanding of hope. It felt warm, like hugs from God, she replied innocently. Alfred chuckled softly. "That's a wonderful way to put it. We often look for miracles in grand gestures, but sometimes God whispers through a child. Doesn't he?" The room brightened again, the earlier glow returning as if it had been ignited by Emma's words and the old man's wisdom. Jonathan felt a shift, a change in the atmosphere. Hope was rekindling itself. "Do you believe in miracles, Alfred?" he asked, his voice shaky but filled with a yearning for affirmation. "Every day, my friend. Miracles are not always spectacular. Sometimes they come quietly through simple acts of love and faith." Alfred exchanged a knowing glance with Jonathan and continued. "Look for them. They are woven into the fabric of our lives." Jonathan nodded, his heart swelling with a newfound understanding. He could choose to see the miracles hidden in plain sight, rather than waiting for the extraordinary. The more he opened his eyes and heart, the more he could witness God's work unfolding. Alfred then placed a gentle hand on Emma's forehead, closing his eyes in a soft prayer. Jonathan felt a swell of faith rise within him, a wellspring of belief and gratitude. The collective prayers of the village hovered like a warm breeze, wrapping them all in an embrace of protection. As he watched the scene unfold, Jonathan's doubt began to dissipate like the fog that precedes the dawn. The realization settled within him, maybe each act of faith held the key to unlock something greater. But just then, a strong gust blew outside, rattling the window panes, a sudden reminder of the storm that still loomed. Could he truly let go of his fears? Would surrendering to this divine mystery lead them toward a miracle after all? Thus, the question lingered in the air, filled with expectancy. What awaited Jonathan on this path of quiet miracles? And how could he ensure that he embraced the wonders designed just for them? The moment hung heavy with anticipation, as if the very air was waiting for something to happen. Jonathan watched Alfred with newfound eagerness, hungry for guidance, for hope to sprout in the cracks of his worry. Outside, the wind continued to howl, but inside, warmth filled the room, comforting every shadow of fear that dared linger. "Mr. Alfred," Jonathan began, the words spilling out, "if miracles come quietly, how can I be open to them? How can I recognize them when they come? I want to believe, but I don't want to miss anything." Alfred turned to him, eyes twinkling with wisdom and kindness. "Jonathan, let me tell you a story." He settled back against the chair, folding his hands in his lap. "Many years ago, I was lost wandering through life, feeling empty, much like a ship without a captain. I sought miracles, but often found just the mundane. It wasn't until a storm raged within my heart that I finally saw the truth." Emma, still nestled close, leaned in, captivated. "It was during a night much like this," Alfred continued, his voice soft yet strong, resonating like the beat of a drum. "I was desperate, longing for a sign, but instead I heard whispers. I remembered the simple joys of friend's laughter, a child's smile, the gentle embrace of a stranger as I stumbled along. It took a child to teach me, much like Emma is doing now. Look for the everyday miracles, Jonathan. They are often a flicker amidst the shadows. Jonathan felt the warmth of understanding flood him. Each day held gifts, he realized, even if they were forgotten in the hustle. Suddenly, he longed to awaken to those moments, those subtle shifts. He reached out, taking Emma's small hand in his. "You helped me see today, Emma." "Thank you." Her eyes sparkled with delight, as though she were a candle in the night, lighting the way not just for Jonathan, but for everyone around her. "Can we pray together?" Emma asked, her voice sweet and sincere. Alfred smiled, nodding appreciatively. "Absolutely, my dear girl." They formed a circle, hands clasped gently. As Alfred began to pray, Jonathan felt every tension slowly release, like ice melting in the spring sun. "Lord," Alfred said, his voice steady, full of faith, "we gather here, united in love. We come before you with our needs, our hopes, our dreams. Show us the miracles hidden in our days. Help our hearts to recognize your whispers." Jonathan listened intently, each word washing over him like waves against the shore. He felt lifted. It was as if Alfred's prayer wrapped around him, binding faith and reality seamlessly. After the prayer, silence enveloped them, laced with a sense of divine presence. Jonathan opened his eyes slowly, glancing at Alfred and Emma. He sensed it, the stir of something extraordinary. Hope fluttered in his chest, alive and vibrant like a bird poised to take flight. What if miracles, Jonathan pondered, are not just to be awaited, but to be invited through our faith and actions? Could gratitude be a key? Exactly, Alfred exclaimed, the light in his eyes sparkling. Gratitude opens the door to recognizing the beauty unfolding around us. Every breath, every shared moment, every act of kindness is a step towards seeing the divine tapestry woven into our lives. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside, a stillness settled, as if time paused to allow them this moment of clarity. Jonathan felt awash in a divine embrace. Somewhere beyond the chaos, a glimmer of hope beckoned. But just then, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the room, and for a fleeting second, Jonathan felt as though a veil had lifted, revealing a world drenched in possibility. What if that was God's whisper? What if the storm outside was a sign, not of fear, but of change, urging him forward? His heart raced with the thought, could this moment catalyze a shift in everything he understood? The mystery deepened, and Jonathan felt the call to explore this path further. What awaited him in this tangled journey of faith and discovery? Would he uncover the miracles that lay in wait, ready to unveil the divine plan mapped out for him and Emma? The storm outside continued to rage, a symphony of thunder and wind that seemed to pulse in rhythm with Jonathan's awakening heart. As the echoes faded in the distance, Jonathan found himself captivated by the flickering candlelight that danced across the room, illuminating shadows that had once felt impenetrable. "Alfred," he breathed, the quiet stirring within pressing him to speak. "What if this moment, this electricity pulsing through me, is calling me for more? I feel as if something is stirring just beyond my grasp." Alfred leaned forward, his expression one of deep understanding. "The divine often nudges us gently, Jonathan. Sometimes it starts as a whisper within a longing, a pull towards something greater. You are sensing it because you are ready." "Ready for what?" Jonathan asked, a mix of excitement and fear clashing in his heart. "Ready to embrace the divine potential within you. It requires courage, but with every act of faith, you'll find clarity," Alfred encouraged, his voice steady as the winds howled outside. "Be like a child, open to wonder. Seek, and you'll be found." In that moment, Jonathan realized how much he had wanted to step beyond the safe confines of his worries. A new awareness simmered beneath the surface, awakening dreams long forgotten. But doubt lingered at the edges, whispering uncertainties that pulled against the threads of hope forming in his heart. Emma, perhaps sensing the tide of emotions swirling, squeezed Jonathan's hand tighter. "We could do it together, can't we?" Her innocent faith was a balm to his soul, igniting the courage he needed. "Yes, Emma," he said softly together. The warmth in the room intensified, wrapping around them like a cocoon, inviting them into the depths of the moment. "How can I invite miracles?" Jonathan asked aloud, hoping to unlock divine wisdom with his words. "Start by being present," Alfred responded, his tone filled with depth. "Live each day with gratitude, as if every sunrise is a miracle. Each interaction is a thread woven into the fabric of life. And recognize that even through difficulties, transformations unfold. That's where God often reveals himself." The thoughts settled like a gentle rain upon parched ground, nurturing the seeds of hope within. Jonathan began to envision the simplicity of gratitude, how often he had rushed through moments, failing to notice beauty in the mundane. Could I find miracles in the ordinary? Jonathan mused, the wheels of realization turning. He recalled Evie, the barista at the coffee shop, who had once shared a smile that brightened a dreary morning. And the time my neighbor offered help when I was overwhelmed, was that not a miracle too? "Yes," Alfred exclaimed, a smile breaking through his wise demeanor. "Those moments are the divine fingerprints on our daily existence." Jonathan closed his eyes for a moment, allowing the gravity of Alfred's words to settle deep within. A flicker of understanding ignited. Perhaps gratitude was indeed the thread that linked all miracles, the key that would unlock his perception. Just then, another flash of lightning illuminated the room, and Jonathan felt that call again, the one urging him forward, beckoning him to surrender to the unfolding path. "What do I do next?" he asked, his heart racing with anticipation. "Begin with one simple act of kindness," Alfred replied. "It may not seem substantial, but it carries divine weight. Share your light, and watch the beauty multiply." Jonathan opened his eyes, feeling lighter. He knew now that each step he took could invite a flurry of miracles. With renewed determination, he looked at Emma, whose innocent joy shone bright, and he felt ready to explore this sacred journey. What will happen next? He thought. The weight of uncertainty lingered, but the promise of discovery sparkled like stars breaking through the clouds. As the storm began to fade, Jonathan understood this was just the beginning. He could feel it deep within. Something extraordinary awaited him. Embracing the unknown had never felt so right. He took a deep breath, anticipation thrumming in his veins. Together with Emma and Alfred, he stood on the precipice of change, ready to leap into faith. And as the last thrums of thunder rolled away, a new whisper echoed a question of what lay just beyond the horizon of his heart. Would he fully accept the invitation of the divine? What miracles awaited on the path ahead? The next morning greeted Jonathan with a blanket of soft sunlight gently spilling into the room, casting away the remnants of last night's tempest. It was as if the heavens themselves had sighed with relief, bestowing peace upon the earth below. As he stirred awake, a sense of hope filled him, weaving through the tendrils of his thoughts like the sunbeams brightening the day. Emma was already up, her laughter tinkling like a bell as she danced about the kitchen. "Look, John," she called, her face beaming with joy. "The flowers are blooming again." Jonathan followed her gaze to the window, where the garden fluttered with vibrant colors, fresh and alive. The flowers, washed clean from the storm, swayed gently in the morning breeze. In that moment, he realized they were a testament to resilience, a beautiful reminder of rebirth. "Let us go outside," Jonathan suggested, overwhelmed with gratitude for such simple joys. Alfred joined them, his presence comforting and steady. As they stepped out into the garden, the fragrance of dew-kissed petals filled the air. "Miracles are all around us," Jonathan murmured, inhaling deeply. "I can see it now." "Yes," Alfred nodded, his gentle smile purposeful. "And witnessing this beauty is an invitation to respond. Remember, today is your opportunity to act with kindness." Jonathan's heart raced with an exciting mix of anticipation and nervousness. It was one thing to feel the stirrings of the divine within, but another altogether to act upon that call. "What should I do?" he asked, seeking Alfred's wise guidance. "Start with the people closest to you," Alfred replied. "A kind word, a helping hand, or simply being fully present can spark transformation. You'll be surprised at the impact of small gestures." Jonathan's gaze drifted toward the colorful blossoms. Each flower, though delicate, was significant in the tapestry of creation. He thought of how little effort it took for him to offer love, to listen to a friend, share a meal, or lend support. His mind drifted to Evie again, the barista whose radiant smile had warmed even his coldest mornings. Perhaps he could bring her a small gift, or write her a note of appreciation. Kindness, like the flowers, could grow and spread unexpectedly. With a plan taking shape, Jonathan felt the energy within him shift. "I'll visit the coffee shop today, and I will let her know how much I appreciate her kindness." "Good," Emma cheered, clapping her hands in delight. "Can we join you?" "Of course," Jonathan replied, feeling the buoyancy in his heart. The thought of sharing this journey with them filled him with joy. As they made their way to the shop, the sun dancing above them, Jonathan felt an increase in his awareness. The world around him burst with color, the laughter of children playing in the park, the chirping of birds celebrating the day, the smiles exchanged between strangers. Each moment held the possibility of divine connection, waiting for him to seize it. When they arrived at the coffee shop, Evie stood behind the counter, her smile lighting up the room. The moment their eyes met, Jonathan could feel the warmth of 1,000 little miracles humming between them, a thread of shared humanity. "Good morning, Evie," he called out, his heart racing. "Good morning," she replied, her cheerful demeanor brightening his mood. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward, the small gift in his hand. "I wanted to thank you for always being so kind. Your smile makes a difference." Evie looked surprised, her eyes widening. "Oh, Jonathan, that's so sweet of you." As he slipped the note into her hand, he felt the rush of gratitude flood him. Her eyes sparkled, and in that moment, Jonathan realized that this simple act was indeed a miracle, sparking an unbreakable connection. He left the shop feeling lighter, empowered by the ability to spread joy. As they walked back through the streets, Jonathan couldn't help but wonder how much would it take to ignite this kindness in others? What would unfold as he continued to embrace this journey of faith? He smiled at Emma and Alfred, his mind racing with possibilities and promises. And just as they were about to reach home, a shadow crossed his mind. What if the door to greater miracles was just beginning to open? The thought lingered like a whisper in the back of his heart, drawing him toward whatever awaited on the horizon. Would he be ready for the unfolding path ahead? What awaited him in the next act of kindness? The day stretched ahead of Jonathan like an open sky, filled with the vibrant hues of possibility. As he returned home with Emma and Alfred, his spirit danced lightly, buoyed by the joy of his simple act of kindness. Yet, a deeper yearning stirred within him, a desire to explore this newfound path of compassion further. "Do you think kindness has a ripple effect?" he asked, glancing from one to the other. Alfred nodded, his demeanor thoughtful. "Absolutely. When we show kindness, we not only uplift the other, but also inspire them to pass it on. It's like lighting a candle. A single flame can spread warmth and light to countless others." Jonathan's heart warmed at the thought. Each kind act was its own flame, spreading light in the shadows. With this knowledge, he felt emboldened to seek further opportunities to be of service. "What if we make it a mission?" suggested Emma, her eyes sparkling. "A day of kindness. We can do something thoughtful for 3 different people." A thrill rushed through Jonathan. The idea ignited a vision of shared joy like seeds scattered upon fertile soil, ready to blossom. "I love that idea, Emma. Let us keep our eyes open." They set out on their mission, the afternoon sun at their backs, illuminating their way. At the edge of the park, they paused to watch a few children playing. Laughter erupted like music, but Jonathan's gaze was drawn to a lady sitting alone on a bench, her eyes reflecting a quiet sadness. "Let us check on her," Jonathan said, feeling an urge to reach out. They approached carefully. "Hello," he greeted warmly. "Is everything okay?" The woman looked up, surprise etched on her features. "Oh, hello. I'm just enjoying the sunshine." Yet her words held a weight that contrasted with her smile. "Would you like to join us for a walk?" Emma suggested. The warmth in her voice was genuine, a beacon of friendship. For a moment, uncertainty flickered in the lady's eyes. Then slowly, she nodded, hesitantly rising. As they strolled together, sharing snippets of life and laughter, Jonathan witnessed a transformation, a lightness in her step. She opened up, speaking of her frustrations and worries. In turn, Jonathan and his friends became her listeners, her comforters, their kindness wrapped around her like a warm blanket. What Jonathan had once perceived as a fleeting act grew into something profound. In that moment, he understood how kindness became a bridge, connecting hearts through vulnerability and shared experience. After their walk, they bid her farewell, and she left with a renewed spirit. Jonathan felt a wave of joy swell inside him. "That felt amazing. We just made her day." "Yes," Alfred affirmed, "and she might continue to inspire others because of it." With invigorated hearts, they set off to their next encounter. As they made their way through a nearby market, Jonathan spotted an elderly man struggling with his groceries. Without thinking, he rushed forward. "Sir, let me help you with that." The man's dark brows lifted in surprise. "Thank you, young man. It's getting harder with age, you know." "I understand," Jonathan replied, feeling a connection swell between them. The act was small, yet the gratitude reflected in the man's eyes was vast. As they reached his home, Jonathan couldn't help but feel the bonds of humanity tightening with each moment of compassion shared. The sun began to set, painting the sky in rich oranges and purples, a final display of the day's beauty. Jonathan couldn't shake the feeling that something greater was unfolding. What awaited them in their last act of kindness? More miracles, perhaps? He looked at Emma and Alfred, their excitement palpable. What divine surprises were yet to be revealed? It suddenly dawned on him the journey of kindness was just beginning. He felt a flicker of divine possibility in his heart, urging him onward. Would he be ready for what lay ahead? How far would this path of love take him? Whisperings of grace twinkled in the twilight, beckoning him to embrace whatever awaited him next. The glow of the sunset hung heavy in the air, wrapping them in a blanket of warmth as they continued along the bustling market path. Jonathan's mind whirled with possibilities. Each encounter, each small act of kindness, they formed a tapestry of connection that seemed woven from the threads of the divine. "Where next?" Emma asked, her voice laced with excitement. There was a spark in her eyes, a shared enthusiasm that Jonathan felt in his very core. "Let us find someone who looks like they could use a lift," Jonathan suggested. The thought of blessing another life pulled at his spirit. He wanted this day to be a testament to the love that could flow through them. As they wandered deeper into the market, a voice called out from the crowd. A young woman, her face streaked with worry, stood beside a car, her hands clasped tightly around her phone. "Excuse me, I don't know what to do. I think my car battery is dead." She looked up at them, her eyes filled with despair. Jonathan felt a rush of compassion. "We can help," he exclaimed, his heart racing with purpose. They rushed to the young woman's side, eager to lend a hand. "I called for roadside assistance, but they said it could take a while," she explained, biting her lip. "I'm late for an important meeting, and I have no idea what to do." Alfred stepped forward. "Let us try jump-starting it together. I have jumper cables in my car." His tone was calm and reassuring, and Emma added with a smile, "We've got your back. Let us sort this out." As they worked, Jonathan felt the presence of something greater weaving through their actions. As they connected the cables, the young woman exhaled a breath she didn't know she had been holding. He could see hope stirring in her eyes. "Thank you so much. I was really beginning to panic," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. And then the engine roared to life. Cheers erupted from their little circle as the young woman's face lit up with joy. "I can't believe it. Thank you. You've saved me." Her gratitude poured out like a sweet melody, wrapping around Jonathan and his friends, filling them with warmth. Jonathan felt a thrill, a beautiful reminder of how simple it was to be light in someone else's darkness. "It's just what friends do," he said, a humble smile crossing his face. She looked at him, her eyes shining. "You're right. This has made my day unforgettable. I'll pay it forward, I promise." With that, she waved goodbye, slipping back into the throng, her spirit lifted and her burden eased. As they walked away, Jonathan felt the space between them charged with excitement. "That was incredible," he exclaimed. Emma and Alfred nodded, their faces alight with energy. "3 acts down, 1 to go," Alfred reminded them. "What's next?" Jonathan felt that divine flicker again in his heart, an urging to open his eyes wider. Let's find someone who has lost. Maybe someone who needs more than just a helping hand. Someone who might truly need hope. They wandered further into the market, searching with intention. Just as the last of the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the cobbled stones, Jonathan caught sight of an older gentleman sitting on a curb, head bowed and shoulders slumped in a way that spoke of deep weariness. "Let's check on him," Jonathan said, drawn toward the man. As they approached, the air seemed to hum with promise. But was Jonathan prepared to dive deeper into the mystery of this divine journey? What revelation awaited? Would kindness reveal something profound within them all? The whispers of destiny lingered, tantalizingly close, yet beautifully elusive. The older gentleman looked up as they approached, eyes clouded by both age and sorrow. His face told stories of battles fought and shadows faced alone. Jonathan's heart ached for him, and he couldn't help but remember the warmth of their previous encounter. "Good evening, sir," Jonathan gently introduced himself, kneeling down to the man's level. "We saw you sitting here, and I want to check if you're all right." "What is it to you?" The man replied, his voice roughened by despair. There was weight to his words, a burden that seemed to wrap around Jonathan's heart like a vine. "We want to help," Emma interjected, her voice bright and genuine. "Is there anything we can do for you?" The man shifted slightly, a flicker of curiosity igniting in his weary eyes. "Helping IT what I need. It's all about standing alone in this world, you see." Jonathan felt a stirring within him, as if the divine was lighting a path through the darkness surrounding this man. "Sometimes we're meant to stand together," he said softly, hoping to pierce through the man's isolation. "You don't have to carry that weight alone." For a moment, silence fell. Then the older man scoffed. "You don't know what it's like. You're young and full of life. You don't understand true pain." His voice cracked, revealing a vulnerable thread woven in between his tough exterior. "Maybe not," Jonathan admitted quietly, "but I believe there is strength in sharing our burdens. God calls us not only to shine our light, but also to spread it. Sometimes a simple conversation can offer the hope we need." The man stared at him, scrutinizing his face. Jonathan met his gaze gently, and he felt the weight of eyes that had painted the canvas of a worn life. What Jonathan sensed now was not just physical impoverishment, but the deeper hunger for belonging, recognition, and love, a hunger that echoed through the streets like an unsung hymn. "Tell me, what has got you so heavy-hearted?" Jonathan pressed, sensing that the man's story, though buried beneath the grime and shadows, could spark a transformative light. "I've lost my family," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Not to death, but to distance. They don't talk to me anymore. I'm just forgotten." A silence settled over them. Jonathan glanced at Emma and Alfred, their expressions mirroring his own heartache. This was more than an act of kindness. This was a call for connection, a chance to bring hope back into a desolate heart. "I'm sorry to hear that," Jonathan replied, sincerity pouring from his words. "You're not forgotten here. We see you, and we care. Would you allow us to share a meal with you? We could even just talk." The man's eyes softened, searching Jonathan's face for truth. "A meal, you say?" "Yes, absolutely," Emma chimed in eagerly. "Nothing too fancy. Just some food and a chance to share stories." The older man hesitated for a moment, then nodded slowly, a glimmer of something, perhaps hope, sparking within his gaze. "All right then, but it's you who LL be blessed. I may have little to give, but I can offer something simple," he whispered, the weight of loneliness beginning to lift just a fraction. As they walked toward a nearby diner, Jonathan felt the embrace of the Holy Spirit wrap around them, encouraging and affirming their steps. Would this encounter ignite a flame of divine connection? Could they witness the transformation of a weary soul into one brimming with love and light? Jonathan knew they had only begun to scratch the surface of something miraculous, what awaited just a few steps down the road. Would they unlock something greater than they ever anticipated? As they settled into the diner, the scent of pancakes and fresh coffee filled their senses, creating an inviting atmosphere. The older man introduced himself as George, his weathered hands trembling slightly as he accepted the menu. It felt as if they had crossed a threshold, stepping into a sacred space where kindness ignited life's sparks, illuminating even the darkest corners of despair. Jonathan watched as George shifted uneasily, his uncertainty skewing under the weight of unshared burdens. "So, what brings you two here today?" he asked, his voice somewhat gruff. "Just spreading a bit of kindness," Jonathan replied, his heart full of warmth. "We believe that sometimes a simple act can bridge gaps we never knew existed." "Isn't that true?" "I reckon that's true enough," George murmured, his eyes flicking between Jonathan, Emma, and Alfred. "A stranger's kindness, it's rare, but appreciated." A waitress approached, coffee pot in hand, and filled their cups, her smile brightening the dimly lit space as she moved gracefully through the clatter of plates and laughter. Jonathan couldn't help but feel that God was present, flowing through this everyday moment in an extraordinary way. "What is something you've enjoyed doing, George?" Emma asked, her innocence sparking conversation. George hesitated, a moment of hesitation cloaked his features. "Once I loved building model ships. The craftsmanship, it provided peace." He sighed, lost for a moment in reflection. "Building things can make you feel so anchored," Jonathan replied, leaning in with genuine curiosity. "What preventing you from it now?" George's gaze fell to the table, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Life got busy, lost track of time. Now, it's just the shadows of my past that linger." At that moment, Jonathan felt a jolt within him, the flicker of divine inspiration illuminating a path forward. "You know, it's never too late to pick up what you love. Why not start again? The world still needs your skill." George lifted his eyes, surprise painted across his weary face. "You think so?" "I know so." "We'll help you," Emma put in, her excitement bubbling over. "We can build something together." A spark ignited in George's eyes, a hint of the light that had been buried under years of pain. "You might just be right, kiddo." And there it was, hope blossoming like spring flowers, rupturing the seams of darkness within him. Their conversations flowed more freely after that, laughter spilling between them like sunlight breaking through clouds. With each story shared, Jonathan sensed the layers of George's heart unfurling. For every joke exchanged, every shared memory, the bond strengthened. Bonds of genuine kindness, unearthing transformations in real time. When the food arrived, laughter ignited the table. Emma ordered the biggest stack of pancakes, delighting in the syrup slathered across the top, while George hesitated, finally ordering a simple sandwich. But as the meal unfolded, Jonathan finally saw it, George's joy untangled from shared stories and laughter over the pancakes. "Thank you, truly," George said, wiping a tear from the corner of his eye as the evening wore on. "You've reminded me that I'm not forgotten, that the world brims with grace. Life has a way of tainting us, yet kindness has a way of renewing." Jonathan felt a rush of love enveloping their little group, making the diner feel like a sanctuary. The warmth felt as powerful as any miracle, an unmistakable presence of the divine. As they finished their meal, a thought lingered. What other miracles lie waiting just outside our doors? With newfound courage, George leaned forward. "How about we work together? How about some spare wood lying around from when I used to build? Maybe we could make something together? Absolutely. Jonathan beamed, heart swelling at the prospect. Let's be the bridge to something amazing. With the promise of a new adventure and transformed hearts, they exited the diner, the once muted streets now alive with possibilities. The echoes of laughter resonated in the cool night air, bright stars overhead twinkling. Like divine affirmation, Jonathan reached out and squeezed Emma's hand. This is just the beginning. I senti it. Alfred nodded. Yes, your kindness can ripple outward like waves on water, reaching even the furthest shores. Using the power of their united spirits, each step ignited hope. Jonathan could almost feel the divine presence urging them to keep sharing their light. As they walked home, Jonathan felt an indescribable joy fill him, as if they were not just delivering kindness, but invoking miracles everywhere they ventured. What awaited them next would be nothing less than spiritual evolution, the kindling of God's love, pouring through their lives in ways they could only dream. Jonathan held fast to that flickering hope, ready to embrace all the beautiful possibilities unfolding before them. Let us remember, every act of faith can initiate extraordinary change. The journey they begun flowed with eager anticipation of blessings yet to come, and now, beloveds, I urge you, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire your hearts. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share divine stories of hope. Comment your reactions and testimonies about the ending. Let your voice echo in unity. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of love. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. True servants of God understand the importance of lifting each other up through these actions. Let us spread the miracle together.